Hi there, and welcome to Context Free, where we talk about programming languages. Today has been a year since I launched my channel, so I figured I'd do a bit of a retrospective over the first year. Bit of self-indulgence, but I hope it'll be fun for everybody. So the first question is, why did I make this channel? And I had a bit of an ulterior motive at first. I've always wanted to make my own programming language, and I've usually called it Rio, named in part for Rio Blanco, San Marcos, Guatemala, because that's the most famous Rio. Though sometimes I've changed what goes into Rio. And my most recent incarnation included some confidence that I'd had from porting Pierre Vonson's Ion compiler from C to Ion. And some of the strategies used here, I reused in my most recent version of my own language I was working on. But I realized that whatever I did with my language, no one would care about it. There are so many languages out there, and some of them are so amazing. Go take a look at the monthly What Are You Working On threads, for example, on R programming languages. Lots of amazing work here. By a lot of people who really are more qualified than I am. I'm just a programmer who thinks languages are fun and made a YouTube channel. I'm not necessarily more qualified than anybody else, but I still thought I'd like to get attention, so I started a channel, and has been much more successful than I might have expected. And by now I have no more time for working on my language anyway, so that helps eliminate a potential conflict of interest. And everyone I interview does amazing work anyway. If I do get back to my language someday, hopefully I've learned a lot first that I can then apply to making my language better, but I don't know if that will ever happen. These days I mostly just do the channel because I enjoy it. I don't know if I'll ever make money off of it. Anyway, for making my channel, I had to have some kind of cover art. So for example, the logo here or the banner. And I'm not much of an artist, so I went looking for public domain work because there used to be such a thing as public domain that we built our societies on. And I thought rather quickly about the story of the Sorcerer's Apprentice, where we have a young roboticist/programmer who loses track of zombie processes and requires the expert to show up and solve the problems. And I thought, that's an old computer programming story. I can use that. So I found this art from 1882, which wasn't quite what I'm looking for, I don't think. But this fine vintage work from 1797 did the number. You can tell this is a broom here from the straw coming out of the torso. For the banner, I used the engine from Gulliver's Travels. This is one I didn't know in advance, but when I went searching for interesting options, I found this. This is some kind of mechanism that they use to do linguistic computation. Again, long ago story and artwork. So for my first video, I thought I'll do something introductory sounding and focus on different sources for programming language popularity. I'd go through here and describe sources that I'd found over the years and ones that I trusted and ones that I didn't trust, and a little bit of what they do and don't tell you. And of course I knew if I make a video, no one's going to watch it. No Field of Dreams here. So I posted to Reddit where I got caught as spam, but York was very kind and unspammed it for me and said, maybe it'll pass here. And I'm very grateful he did that. I also personally invited dozens of people I know who might have been interested in my content, and some of them subscribed as well. And when starting my channel, I thought, I'm going to be a hipster, talk about what I want to talk about and not care about what's popular, the way most YouTubers get attention. And I had this conversation with my wife about it. She said, well, if you want attention, you might want to do what's popular sometimes, what's in the news. Like, okay. So I thought, Russ is coming out with Async Await sometime soon. I should see when that's happening and see if I can make a video for that. And so that night I looked and I found out that the release was coming the next morning. So I scrambled and found out that the examples for Rust Async Await weren't very compelling. And so I built on them to make something that I thought was more useful. And I released it the next morning. Instead of posting it as a top-level post in Reddit, I posted it as a comment within 10 minutes of the announcement coming out. Now it wasn't an immediate mega hit, but for the next few months, this video is responsible for more than half the traffic on my channel. I also posted a number of other videos to Reddit as I released them, and I was releasing on a weekly schedule for quite a while. Most of them were not well received, but I still got some traffic and some subscribers from them. I also used Feely to follow a lot of blogs so I could learn other interesting things that were coming out and post valuable content to various subreddits that weren't my own content. So by contributing to these subreddits with things other than my own, then I wouldn't be a spammer when I posted my own content. And again, most of my videos were not terribly well received because people are skeptical. My Ruby 2.7 pattern matching, where again I went to the effort of designing a demo that was better than what I found out there otherwise, did better than usual. And I purposely did things that would be of interest to different audiences because I wanted a diverse group of people to be following my channel. Along these lines, I also wanted a better way to demonstrate programming language popularity visually. And I loved the GitHub 2.0 data, so I made my own presentation for their data and called my tool Languish, made a video on it, and I figured this could be a virtuous cycle. Now someday if I ever get things other than GitHub data into this, then I think it really will be just about the best tool out there for programming language trends. Though people probably will talk about TOB anyway. Meanwhile, I'd originally hacked this out using direct DOM operations, until user Shilong Yu volunteered to port it to Preact for me. Very appreciated, and it will make feature maintenance and feature additions easier. Meanwhile, along the way here, some of my other viewers started posting for me. Again, to get attention, because I knew C++20 was coming out, I started making some videos about C++20, sometimes along with other languages included, such as Rust and Zig here. And Chefitron had multiple successful posts of my videos to RCPP, much more successful than any of my posts had been on Reddit. Also, a couple of my videos made their way into This Week in Rust, such as my C++20 and Rust on static versus dynamic generics. And since people are interested in learning particular skills, for example, C++20 or Rust, I think that's why these videos would often get higher subscriber rates than some of my other videos. And I found out that This Week in Rust can definitely drive traffic to my channel. Meanwhile, last spring, I also got the domain name contextfree.info, which still only points to this README. I ought to make a full site sometime, including language underneath it. I also set up my own subreddit at the same time, where I post my videos, as well as other programming language news. I thought about making an email newsletter, but this seemed much more straightforward, so that's what I went with. And in terms of trying to get attention on Reddit, I find it's very capricious. User MintPaw posted my video on the complexity of Hello World, and it got downvoted to 0. A few hours later, user Donut Loop posted it, and it trended to the very top of our programming. I think it matters a lot who happens to see a post first, whether it goes up or down. And while I appreciate when people share my videos, it's not something I ever ask for, because it's something people should do if, when, and how they feel appropriate. So if we look at the numbers, we'll see that when the video started hitting RCPP and This Week in Rust, I started getting a lot more views. And here's the Hello World video, which has by far been the most viewed video on my channel. And I don't know how to make lightning strike again, but I do hope it happens sometime. Also worth pointing out that the vast majority of these views are from YouTube itself and not from external sources. So I used to post weekly, and I sometimes feel bad I haven't been able to get back to that schedule. I used to use Replit, which I still believe is a great tool for sharing. And while you can contribute to Replit in order to provide languages or features that aren't already included, I just went the path of switching to VS Code after a while. But I do still highly recommend Replit as a great tool. The interviews have also been great, and I really appreciate those who participated. And I also really appreciate feedback I get in the comments on the videos from all of you who know things that I don't. Meanwhile, I've also recently started up on Twitter. I'd never really done Twitter in my life, so this has been somewhat of a learning experience, still learning the ropes. But I find it's a really great place to have conversations and to learn things about other people. And as a quick digression, one thing I find sort of funny is that I don't watch the kind of videos I make very often. Some of my favorite channels are Adam Neely, Drew Binsky, and De Mi Rancho a Tu Cocina, among many others. And I'm inclined to believe that some of these other channels I watch influence the way I make my own videos, even though I'm on a very different kind of topic. And last but not least, I've got a merch store open. Got an awfully blank top. Maybe I should figure out where the banner goes in. Meanwhile, lots of merch you can choose from, including clothing items, as well as accessories. I have these at the default prices for now. I might choose a different way to sell in the future, but Spreadshirt was relatively easy to set up. So if anyone's interested in advertising 1797 Sorcerer's Apprentice, here's a place you can go. I've tried it out myself, found it pretty good quality, and I bet you thought I never would appear on my channel. Well, here I am. Meanwhile, I hope this has been fun. It's been a great year. Thanks much for your support and for forgiving me when I make mistakes. Maybe we can take a look back again in another year and see how things have gone. Bye, y'all. T-pose.